Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Tech with Alan Spaja. In this video, I'll walk you through how to build a blog application using Laravel 11 with Bootstrap 5 in the front end. I initially wrote an article about how to build a blog application using Laravel 9, and that's like 2 years ago, while we're still using Mix in Laravel, but right now we're using Vite. And so in this tutorial, you're just going to learn how to basic functionalities like create, read, update, delete, how to display data, how to pass data into the views, how to set up controller, how to set up models, relationship, user model to post model, just to keep things simple. I'm not going to walk through login route, register route, and forget password route and all of that. So I'll just go straight to building the blogging future because if you check my YouTube channel, there is a video where I explain how to set up authentication feature using Laravel Fortify. And so you just want to pull that repository, or you could just watch that video to get acquainted with how all of that was set up. You don't want to miss out. You want to stick along as I walk you through. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. So let's dive in. Once you put the project where I set up the Laravel Fortify authentication, if you want to follow along, or if you have the project open or for this tutorial, you can find the link in the description. So the first thing is to have to create the migration right now. So in Laravel, there's what we call migration, and so for every table you're going to be dealing with, you basically have a migration for it. So it's just similar with the tables you have in your regular PHP. So for us to be able to have that migration, so we have what we call posts. A user will have to create a post. So we want to store all those posts in a particular table. And in that table, we'll call that table posts. So in Laravel, you have to create a model called post that will actually interact with that migration. So for you to be able to create that, I already have that set up. You use PHP Artisan, make model, then you say post. The -m you see there means to create a migration file called post. So when I run this command, for example, it will create a posts migration file and then create a model called post, which we will use to interact with the database, right? So in Laravel, a model is basically, in a simple way, just that's the M in the MVC. It's just to say this is a class that interacts with the database. So you can do relationship, you can do cast, you can do assessor or mutate a value. So, and that's just with a couple of other features you can actually do in the model. So when you press enter to create that, I already have that here. So you head over to the post so I'll come to the post. So if you already have a model, so you can use PHP Artisan make migration to just create the migration file, and they say create posts underscore table and then dash create then post. So if you already have a model, you can use this command to create a migration file for your post table. So head over to post so that I will show you the columns that we have there. So this is basically going to create a table in the database called posts. There will be ID, there will be ULEAD, there will be unsigned integer. This is just to store the user ID. So every post, it belongs to a user, or every post is being published by a user, or a post has an author, which is a user. So we have to store the user ID in the table, and then we have title, we have content, we have the status. So I just did default of 1, which is same as true, or you could do 0, which is same as false. So if you have a blogging platform, you don't want people to just publish things and then it goes live, you can use the status to determine which of the posts should be displayed to the user. Maybe every post is subject to approval. So this is what this is doing. So that's just the columns we want to have in the post table. So you go ahead to run the migration. I'm going to explain what ULEAD means in a moment. So if you want to run the migration for this PHP Artisan migrate, and then it will just create that table in the database. So if you go to env, you have to supply the credentials for your database, either MySQL or PGSQL or SQLite or whatever database you are using, and then so that when you run the command, it will actually create it. Yeah, so like I mentioned about ULEAD, so there is so I'll go to has ULEAD. So I created this trait class just to initialize the ULEAD value for every whatever model that it is being included, it will automatically generate the ulead and then just add it to that particular column of that table. So for example, we used the ulead here, and then here we're defining how the ulead value will be generated. And then in the post model, when you come to the post model or whatever model you want to use the ulead, you just import the has ulead here using the use. So I'll just do, sometimes you can actually do something like this, use as use lead, but just to keep things simple, it is still same as having to do just command has ulead and then just enter it. So what this means is that for every time there is a new record, a ulead value will be generated and stored alongside the data that is going into the table called post. So in this post model, there is a relationship called user, so it belongs to a user. So there are different kind of relationship in Laravel. Belongs to, has many, has one, and a couple of them. There's polymorphic relationship. So now what this is saying is if you find a user underscore ID, so by default Laravel calls it, this is how Laravel identify relationship. So as long as there is a user underscore ID here in this post table, so when you come here and you define this class, so every time Laravel wants to understand what is happening here, it will look for user underscore ID. So if you are using a different column to reference the user in the post table, you will just define it here and then specify the unique column you are using to identify a user. So this is a user. This post, every post here belongs to a user. So in other words, we can say every post here has an author. This is to access the created art. So when you create a post, it will enter it as a timestamp or a date or something, and then you want to format it for humans to be able to read. So you see some blog posts where you have something like created 2 hours ago, 2 seconds ago, 2 minutes ago. So when I'm doing the demo, I'm going to show you. So this is what this is doing. So here we're saying this is an assessor. For every time we're reading records from the post table, for every created art that we're going to be assessing, it will format that value for it to be human readable. This is what the accessor means. Then you can also have mutate, where you do set like this, and then you do fn. So you can decide what will happen to a value before it is being stored. If you want to format it. So I don't really have that need here now. Maybe you want to turn a string to uppercase or whatever you want to do. You can mutate that value in this model before it is being stored. But I'll just leave it at this because I just want to show you this is a blog. You want to be able to show 2 seconds ago, 3 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago, or 2 hours ago, or 3 days ago. So since we define a relationship here, so we'll go to the user model and then define the same thing. So this is the relationship. In this user, we're saying that every user here has many posts. So in Laravel, like I said, the post model, if you do has many posts here, what it will do is that it will just look at post table and look for user underscore ID. So this is the inverse relationship here. This is the inverse relationship. We can use the user instance to find all of the posts associated with the user, and we can use the posts to find the user associated to a particular post. So here we use has many because a user can have many posts. So I will show you in a moment in the controller file how this works and how it is very important for you to have such relationship defined. So when I come to, so I'm just going to close all of this now. I'm just going to close this. So I already have the views. I'll leave the link to the repository in the description section. So I have the post here. I have index. So in this index, I just list. So this index is just for the author or the owner of the post. So I just have them listed here. So this is a success message for each. I use the for s directive in Laravel so that if there is no record, it will automatically return. It will automatically display that no blog post is available in compared to saying if it is if count post is greater than 0, blah blah blah, all of that. So but there is the for else directive. So and then I display the title, the description, the content, the title. Then I have ulead. Now you can see the advantage of ulead is that instead of having, say for example, instead of having /posts/1, so you will now have something like a string So a user cannot just assume that because I am seeing post 1, there's a post, 2. So for some reason, this is not, it makes an application to be vulnerable. So, but if you use the ULEAD, it actually makes your application secure because someone cannot easily guess what is really happening. So this it is posted by the username. So you see the relationship I just designed now. So for a post, we can get the user and get the name. And then for a post, this is the created art that I showed you in the post model that is being using accessor. We transform the value. When we're reading the value, we transform it to be human readable. So this is where we're displaying it and all of that. So there is the create. So this create actually is where we create a post. Do you want to publish a content? So I'm going to list the route when I get to the route section now, after explaining the controller. And then there is the validation message. There is the validation message for content, and then the publish button. So you have edit too, you have show. You want to show a single post. So like you see, if this post, like what I did here is we're displaying this data, this view. When you click a particular post, you want to see a particular, when the posts are listed and you click a particular post, this is the view that handles that. So, but then the edit and the delete feature will only be displayed if the user that is authenticated is the owner of the post. The edit and the delete button will be visible. So we're still using ULEAD here so that it is the compared to using an integer value that can easily be understood, or that can easily tell the public that the next post is 2 or 3 or something. And so that's just basically how this view is being structured. So you could actually modify this and then extend it beyond what it is here. You can have, like, you want to view. So if you come to the index, you want to view the owner of a post, you want to check their profile, you can, add that link here. When somebody click this, it will take them directly to the profile of the user. So the next is the controller. So in Laravel, there are commands you can use to create a controller. So this is a post controller, and it is ideal to use the name of a controller with what it is doing. So because we are dealing with posts, the name of the controller will be called post. So for you to create a post controller in Laravel, you use the make controller artisan command. So PHP artisan make controller, and then you say post controller. So I already have this created already, and then I have all of the content I'm going to be using to explain how it functions. So if you press enter, it's going to create a post controller. But this is an application that we're using to demonstrate basic crude, just create, read, update, and delete. If you want to have all those methods created automatically alongside the post controller, you will use -r, or you can use -- resource. And then it will create it will create index, create, show, store, update, and delete. It will create all of this. So this is a full HTTP action is going to create for you. You can show the list of all of the posts. You can show the view for creating posts. You can store a post. You can update a post. You can show a post for editing. You can actually delete a post. But however, just for an additional knowledge, you can actually use one command to create all of that. So I can say PHP artisan make model, right? I can say posts, and I'll say -a. This will create migration file called posts. It will create a model file called post. It will create a CDA file. It will create a factory file. It will create policy. It will create a controller. If like a controller with resource, that's the index method, the create method, and all of that. And then it will create all of this file at once. So if you use this method, this approach, but I just wanted to break it down because this could be something a beginner wants to do to build their portfolio. So I don't want to complicate the explanation. So you can actually use this. Probably you are a bit comfortable with Laravel. You can use this to generate all of those things that we've been doing since. So I'm just going to skip that because I've done that already, and then go straight to explain what happens in the post controller. So when you come to post controller here, so let me just close this. Right, so now you see there is the index, there is the create, there is the store, and there is the show, there is edit, there is update, and there is destroy. So I call it delete actually, but then it's still same destroy that. So what destroy does is to delete. These are the method it creates. So I added an extra method here called all posts for people who are not authenticated. I just wanted to keep things simple in a way. So if you start from here, the index method, this would return all the posts of the user, and then this will return the view for creating. So I showed you just now in the views folder a file called create where we have the contents to create a post. So this will return the index with the post. So initially in Laravel here we have compact, but right now you can just do this and pass data. So I can pass this post into this post.index view using this array inside the view method. So compared to using compact or compared to using width, for those if you are familiar with the previous version of Laravel. Here what I'm just saying here is get all the posts of this user that is logged in, or get all the posts that have been published by the user that is currently logged in. And then that's what is happening here. So the next is when they submit that form, this create form here, there is you would see post.store. I'm going to explain the route in a moment. You see post.store. Now that post.store, when you submit that form, it will come to this method. So I do validation here. I check for title. It is required. It must be a string, and then it must be a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 255 string. Then we have context is required, string, and a minimum of 10. So I'm going to, when I'm doing the demo, I will try imputing just 2 characters for the title and then something less than content, so that you see how the validation works. And then here, because we define the relationship between user and user and post and user, we can use those relationship here to create data. So I'm saying the currently logged in user, create a post for this user. So it will automatically populate this data and then include the user underscore ID, compared to where I will say I want to do the create, I'll put user underscore ID and then pass data. Maybe I will say here, I'll come here and say validated, and I'll say user underscore ID, right? Then I'll say equal to, user, I'll say auth, and then I'll say user, and I'll say ID. So compared to doing this is just way, initially, just auth, auth ID, and then it will get the ID of the currently logged in user. Then it will now store it, but then using the relationship we define called post in the user model, so we can use it to store this data, and then it will automatically add the user ID of the currently logged in user, and then we'll return a success message that the post has been created. If there's any error, it will actually be handled here. So you can actually use form request anyway, just to take this out of this place, but I just want to keep this simple. In subsequent video, when I'm dealing with APIs or more larger projects, I'm going to do form request, right? And then, so this is the show. You want to get a particular, you want to display a particular post to the user. So like the ulead we have there, I will show you the routes. So this ulead will be passed in, and then I will check where the ulead is available and then do first or fail. So if it doesn't find it, it will return the user to 404 page. You can do a custom 404 page where you say the resource is not found, and then this post or show is where the value, the post, is being passed into by passing this array into the view method, compared to using compact or width like I mentioned. Then you have edit. If you want to edit an article, you still use the ulead like I showed you, and then you just get the ulead using first or fail. Then when you come to update, same thing, you can update. You can actually use that same format to update it, but I just want to do this here because I'm using ulead. I just want to show you that ulead can actually work compared to using to move around with the ID of the post you are trying to update. So you just do where ulead, and then you find the ulead and you update it. And then if you want to destroy it, you just do delete, and then you delete it. So ideally, I would recommend you use soft delete to ensure that in case a user accidentally deleted a post, you can actually retrieve it. Or you add a layer that asks the user, are you sure you want to delete this post? So this method here returns all the posts. Okay, so next, let me just explain the route. You know, when we build applications, there are endpoints or there are URLs that we want users to use to reach certain parts of our application. So because we created, so this is the welcome page that is returning all posts. So this is for people who are not logged in. I use the controller method here to define the post controller, and then because I am grouping them in case I have more routes that I want to deal with under that post controller, I can actually do it here. And then here I'm saying this is a middleware function, and I'm saying this user must be authenticated and they must be verified. Yeah, like I mentioned before, if you want to go through how to set up authentication feature in your Laravel application, maybe login, register, forget password, reset password, update password, two-factor authentication. So you can actually look at my video. I published a video on that. You can check it out. And then this is just saying all of the routes within this place, apply this middleware. The user must be authenticated and verified before you give them access. So like I said, when I was creating the post controller, I used the -r flag or -- resource flag. What that means is this is a resource controller. It will automatically list all the routes for this. So I don't have to do routes, get. So I don't have to do routes, get, and then I'll say posts, and then I'll do, and then I'll say maybe let me say create, for example, and I'll close. Then I'll start again and say post, and then I would say store, so I don't have to do all of this with the resource. The resource automatically have all these URLs. Let me just open the artisan. Let me run the artisan command for you to see all of what has been added. So I'll say PHP artisan route list. So you see that it automatically have posts, the index. This is the name of the route, So get post, post/create, post/post. So I'm using this, ideally this is where that ULID is entering, and then post edit, there is a register, all of this route. So if you are building an application, you want to be sure of the link or whatever the route you have defined something. You see, this is delete, this is put or patch. So you can use put or patch for this particular route in case you are trying to access a particular URL and then it is throwing an error. So you could use this to figure that out. That's all. So like I said, in Laravel 11 we now use Vite. So you just head over to your terminal and then do PHP artisan serve, and then you do npm run dev. So I'm going to head over to the browser to show you the functionality of the blogging application. Yeah, all right. So when you head over to the browser, this is the landing page that we designed, and then there are the featured blogs here. Like I said, you could see posted by the name of the author and then 6 seconds ago. So this is more readable. This is a blog. You can actually modify this view to be way better than this and something just for your own view. So this is a template I got from Start Bootstrap. So you can just pick any template of your choice and then just modify it. As long as it's Bootstrap 5, you can modify the views and then so that it could work. So I'll just head over to login, and then I'll just, now when I log in, so I'll just go back to the landing page, and then you could see it is showing my post add post because the user is logged in and there's logout, right? So because the user is logged in, and then all of these routes are now showing. So when I come to my post, it will show all of the posts that belongs to this user created 1 minute ago and all of that. So I'll just go to add posts. So when I come to add posts, I want to say Laravel 11. Okay, building a blog application using Laravel 11. I'll say in this video I demonstrate how to blah blah blah. Let me just copy, paste, space, and then press publish. So when I publish, it says post created successfully. So this is the success message I was talking about that has been returned to the user. So if I try to put in something like say IU, which is not, and then I just type something right down and I press publish, it's going to return an error saying the feed the title field must be at least 3 characters, because I showed you that's the while I was creating in the controller, the validation rule is that this title must be above 3 characters. So that's why it is showing this error. So it says, whoops, there were some problems with your input, and then it shows the user. So I can go to my posts, and then you see that the blog post we just created, building a blog application using Laravel 11, posted by Fiona Living. So this is form filler. Actually, all of these records don't exist, so you don't have to be bothered about it. So like I said, we can click this to see the details of the author of this, just the regular blogging application. And then I could click here to view a particular blog post. So you see what I was showing you. See, look at what ULead looks like compared to, and then just for some mention, ULead is actually way lighter, and in terms of database performance, way better than UUID, because UUID is quite longer than this, and then I think it takes about 128 bits. But then, so ULead is quite better in terms of database performance. So a user cannot just guess that, okay, the next block compared to when you have 1 here, the next block will be 2, but then this is what it now looks like. Now it says posted by this. So this is the accessor we use to do diff for humans. This is what diff for humans method is doing. It says 1 minute ago. So as time progresses, it's going to be updating. You can say 2 days ago, 3 days ago, just like you see in regular blog. So it says building a blog application using Laravel 11. So this is a picture and this is the content. I can say edit or delete. So I'm going to edit it. So when you come to edit, so you could see the content here. I'll just say, let me just say building a blog application using Laravel with Bootstrap 5 for front end. So, and then I do publish. So you can actually extend this feature. So it says post updated successfully. You could see now all of this has been updated. You can extend this feature to have things like a unique URL or something, just more stuff. So I'm going to go back and then just click. So you see it has changed to 2 minutes ago. This is quite better. So I'm going to do delete. So like I said, when you are deleting content like this, you need to be sure, you need to ask the user, are you sure you want to delete the post? So I just did that just to do a demo of how delete works, and it says post deleted, and we can no longer find that article we can no longer find the post we just created now. So basically this is what it looks like. So I can go ahead to say log out, and then we're out of the application. Yeah, well, I think thumbs up for you for sticking along. I just have to use this app. Let me know what you think in the comment section about writing codes and explaining them compared to you have to see me, typing it, but this is quite faster, because if I have to type all of that code, the video will just be long. Sometimes some persons will just come and then pick the repository and just go ahead and start asking questions in the comment section. What is this? And then this is not working. But I'm going to leave the link to the repository. You can pull the repository and then open it on any terminal, any code editor of your choice, and then just follow along and see how things are being done. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so that when I have subsequent video about Laravel web development uploaded, you'll be notified. And then like the video, share with your Laravel developer friend or someone who is starting out to build a web portfolio. You may not be chanced as a senior developer to actually explain some of these things to a beginner. You can actually share the video or recommend my YouTube channel to any Laravel developer out there to be able to help them build their portfolio so that they can actually apply for jobs and then probably land a job. Until next time, bye.